be afraid of, because we're doing it for the Lord. Amen. Amen.
In those days, a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that the whole empire should be registered. This first register took place while Quirinius was a governor of Syria, so everyone went to be registered, each to his own town. Joseph also went up to his town of Nazareth in Galilee, to Judea, in the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was off to those in the line of David, to be registered along with Mary, who was engaged to him and was pregnant while they were. The time came for her to give birth. Then she gave birth to her firstborn son and wrapped him tightly in cloth and laid him in a manger, because there were no guest room available for them.
In the same region, shepherds were staying in the fields and keeping watch at night over their flock. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said unto them, Don't be afraid, for look, I proclaim to you good news of great joy that will be for all the people. Today in the city of David a Savior was born for you, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be the sign for you. You will find a baby wrapped tightly in cloth and lying in a manger. Suddenly there was a multitude of heavenly hosts with the angel, praising God and saying, Glory to God in the highest heaven, and peace on earth to people he favors.
When the angels had left and returned to heaven, the shepherds said to one another, Let's go straight to Bethlehem and see what has happened, which the Lord has made known to us. They hurried off, both found Mary and Joseph and the baby who was lying in the manger.
This subject. And what does this say up here? What does it say? It was what? Say it again. It was what? It was love. Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor it was love. It was love that held Jesus. Took his robe off and hung it in the wardrobe of eternity. It was love that took Jesus down to the depot of time and bought him a ticket and put him on a train of nature and brought him down through 42 generations. It was love that made him get off one cold night. We don't know which night it was, but it was cold. A cold night in Bethlehem of Judea. It was love that wrapped him in swaddling cloth and laid him in a manger. But it was also love that made him cry like a baby. Amen, somebody. And it was also love that made him play like a child. And coach, he moved from that into it was love that made him feed like a grocery man. Well, I wish I had anybody here ever had him to feed you. Come on now. And it was also love that made him heal like a doctor. Have I got a witness in the room? Amen. Hallelujah. And it was love that made him go and pay for my sin. I wish I had a witness up in here. Love made him do it. Oh, I wish Tina Turner was here today, because a few years ago she came out with a song, "What's Love Got to Do with It?" Oh, Tina, I'm here to tell you right now, I thank God love had everything to do with it. I'm here to tell you today that because of God's love, you're here today. Can I get a witness up in here? I dare you to throw your hand up and say, thank God for his love. His love, my brother, found a way to touch somebody like me. Now, maybe you were born on the right side of the track. Hello, somebody. Or maybe you wasn't born nowhere near the track. But guess what about his love? His love found you. You better put your hands and thank God that his love. You know, man's love is a little crazy, superintendent. You know, you got to do for me to do for you. But can I tell y'all right now, brothers and sisters, I thank God it was all about his love for me when I was unlovable. Don't sit up in here. I know you're smelling good and you're looking good. You don't put on your do-rag and everything else. Come on here now. But I'm here to tell somebody, we ain't always been lovable. We ain't always been kind. But it's because of what he did. It was his love. Go on to my scripture here. Hallelujah. It was his love. 1 John 3 says this, behold, what manner of L-O-V-E, what's that? Love. The Father has bestowed upon us that we should be called the sons of who? God. The sons of who? God. The sons of who? God. The sons of God. Therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not. You crying over folks not realizing who you are. They didn't recognize Jesus when he came. I wish I had a witness up in here. I thank God that love looks beyond my skin color. Love looks beyond my zip code. And love looks right at that Jesus wants somebody like me and you. Oh, I'm glad to tell somebody right now, love made a way for me. Hallelujah. That's why I can cry, Lord, have your way. Because of what the Father has done for me. What manner of love the Father has bestowed upon me. Beloved, now are we the what? Sons. Beloved, now are we the what? Sons. Of who? God. Sons of who? God. Now talk to me now. And it does not yet appear what we shall be. Right. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be what? Like him. Say that again. Like him. We're going to be like him, for we shall see him as he what? He ain't no baby in the manger. Come on, he grew up. Now he's the Savior of my soul. He's the deliverer of my life. And it's all because of what? His love. Oh, I'm blessing God right now. Right now in the human mentality, what we have to do when it comes to the subject of love is that to get somebody to fall in love with me, I got to do this and do this and do this and do that and do this and do this. And then sometimes you got to watch it because some of that love is fake. It depends on how big your bank account is, folks. Oh, come on here now. I had a partner, a friend of mine, and we were talking, and he got a little bit of chink change. Oh, yes, he does. And he said, Hamright, when I get married, I'm going to have a prenup. I said, all right. Well, with the money, you got to understand why you got a prenup. But I said, well, what are the conditions you're going to put in your prenup? His conditions was that when he married the woman that he was going to marry, his conditions were this right here. He said she can never gain weight. Excuse me. Yeah, I heard that. But that was his condition, that she could never gain weight. And so this young lady, she was a little, I got to watch what I say. She was a little, and she was a little, Put your whatever you're going to put in your She was a little And so she decided to marry him. And you know that joker signed that thing, superintendent? he had, a little ching chang. And then so after they had their first baby. You know what happened when a woman's pregnant? She's eating for 2 or 3. Come on now, somebody. And she had the first baby, and after the baby, she was left with some. She was left with some baby fat. Thank you for helping me. And because she was left with some baby fat, he told her, "Remember what you signed. You could never gain weight." And now by this time, his V had become a K. But the conditions were not on him. It was on her. And so she worked real hard, and she worked real hard, and she lost the weight. Well, lo and behold, she got pregnant. So when she got pregnant again. It does happen. It does happen. And so they wanted another child, so they had another child. And so this time, she had the baby, but she had put on double what she, am I right about it? That she had the first time. And so he said, remember what you signed on to. And can I tell you something? She tried, and she tried, and she tried, but she never could get back down to that size. So guess what my partner did? He honored his agreement. They divorced. Come on now. Because she gained weight. Now, the question I asked was, where was love? Right. Where? Hold on, you don't preach my message. Hold on. Don't rush me, don't rush me. There was no love. There was the love of money. Right. Talk to me. Talk to me. There was the love of money. There was the love of position. Oh, hello, somebody. But there was never love that it says, no matter how the outside looks. I'm in love with the inside. And some of us better thank God because we ain't the best looking things on the outside. But Jesus loved us enough to go to Calvary to die for the inside. Oh, I get excited. Oh, hallelujah. About this love. And the only contract I had to sign with him was this. He said, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I'm going to give you rest. I come to tell somebody that love message is still going today. Oh, hallelujah. Let's move on, Pat. Hallelujah. My first point for the day is this. What did it say right here? See. What did it say right here? See. Brothers and sisters, you got to see it. John writes, behold. What does behold mean? Behold means you got to look. He tells us to look at how great a love the Father has given us. Now, you may not believe this, but sitting right amongst us, right up in here, sprinkle amongst us, is some folks that have felt in their lifetime they were unlovable. Sitting right up amongst us. Now, y'all keep looking at them. Y'all keep looking at them. They were unlovable. Don't nobody call me. Don't nobody want to eat ice cream with me. Don't nobody come and do this. And I feel like nobody loves me. And y'all are coming to tell you, I thank God for Jesus and the love that he has. Because I don't look like you look and I don't act like you act, that does not stop him from loving me and you. Lay your hands on somebody and tell them, yeah, God loves you. Yeah, you got to behold it. You got to see it. You've got to understand that he loves you so much. Let me give y'all a secret about God. God will move. Superintendent, I said God will move heaven and earth to come and see about you. Somebody said, prove it, Hamright. Well, there's a story in the Bible about some people. They left a certain location, Egypt. On the way out, the enemy came behind them. So God had put them in a situation where they had mountains on one side, an enemy behind them, and a sea in front of them. Now, can I tell y'all something about God's love? It'll put you in a situation that only God can get you out. I wish I had a witness up here. Oh, hallelujah. My time's going quickly. And guess what happened? what God did. He moved the water. Oh, come on now. He moved the water. Of course, let me tell you something. I run up and people try to get over me because they think they know I'm a preacher. They say, well, brethren, I know the story says that God destroyed Pharaoh and his army in the sea. I said, that's what the books say. Say, but brethren, the last time I checked, where the Israelites crossed, the water was only foot deep. I say, what? Saying, yes, if you check geological material, you'll find out that there are certain areas where the water is only a foot deep. And you trying to tell me that God's people is about they walked over through the sea. I said, oh my God, that ain't the part that really gets me. They said, well, what's the part that gets you? That God took a foot and drowned a horse. God took a foot and drowned a man. God took a foot and drowned an army. What am I? Okay, y'all ain't saying nothing to me in here. What am I? Okay, y'all ain't, okay. What am I? You got to see what this love will do for you. Some people say that Christians live in a fantasy world, or that we live a life of blind faith. John tells us that our faith is not blind, but our eyes are wide open. Come on here now. We see him in the cradle. We see him on the cross. And we see him crowned as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I don't know about you, but I'm happy that he is the King. Come on, Pat, we got to move. What's this next point I want y'all to get right here? You got to do what? Experience. What do I have to do? Experience. You got to experience God's love. Now, every last one of us, from our babies to the oldest person in here, have experienced love. Some of our children, when they start out, they have a pet, they have a dog, they have a cat, they have a fish, they have something. They experience love. And as we grow up, you know, we have what they call Coach Puppy love. You know, you fall in love with that little girl, you know. I remember the little the wonderful little girl in the 3rd grade. And I was sitting 2 rows behind her. And she had pigtails, and I had a little, y'all don't know about this, these young people, they don't know about this, but back in my day, y'all growing up, if you liked somebody, you took a sheet of paper, and you wrote on the paper, you put a little box, and you put check yes if you like me, check no if you don't like me, and you fold it up. And so I was in the 3rd grade, and then I passed a little note to the little pig-headed little girl, and then I passed it to her, and why y'all looking at me like this? These babies up here looking at me. And so I passed a little note to the little girl. Yeah, I did something. I passed a little note to the little girl and passed it to my partner. And so my partner passed the note. And then so I saw her open the paper, and my heart began to, ooh, she might say yes. Then I saw her pick up the pencil. And she started writing. And she wrote, my heart, ooh, all right. I'm going to have a girlfriend. And so she folded the paper back up, and she's sitting back, and she smiled at me. And I go, oh, she's mine. I was in love with that little pig-headed little girl. Yes, I was in love with her. When I got my paper back, the anticipation. So I took that little paper, unfolded the first flap. Then go to unfolded the 2nd flap. Then I unfolded the 3rd flap. Boy, and then I got to the 4th flap, and I looked at it. I said, and I looked at it, and she hadn't checked anything. But down at the bottom under the box, she said, no, I don't like you, you bald head, no good thing. So we went out to the playground. It's recess. I'm gonna get you. I'm in love with you. So Brother Bobby Ray, my brother-in-law, picked up a rock. She was on a little merry-go-round thing. I popped that joker real good. If you gonna hurt me, I'ma hurt you. That was back in the day. Now, of course, I got in trouble. I was sent to the principal's office. The principal said, Rodney, why did you do that? Because I thought she loved me So I felt bad about her not loving me. Some of us need to look at our own lives and see, do we really love God like we're supposed to love him? Or do we just love him with what he can do for us, not what we can do for him? God wants us to experience his love in such a way that even when he says no to us, we'll still be in love with him. Even when he says, wait, I'll still be in love with you. I've got to experience all facets of God's love. I've got to experience when he tells me yes. And I still got to love him, Dad, when he tells me no. I've got to still love him, y'all, when he tells me to wait. Or even if he tells me, you can't have that. You still have to experience every avenue of God. I'm coming to a close. Come on, Pat, give me my last one. What does this say right here? No. Say what? No. You have got to know that God loves you in spite of you. One of the hardest things for all of us as to do is this. Is to, well, for some of us, to believe that God loves us in spite of it. Now, I want y'all to understand this. People get depressed over thinking God don't love me. God don't care about me. Because of everything going on in my life, God couldn't care about nobody like me. And then we got the audacity to think that God, I know you don't love me as bad as I am. Come on now. As much as I have done, the places I've been, the things I've got myself into, how can a loving God love me? Well, the Bible says this, young people, greater love hath no man than this, that he laid down his life for you and I. You got to make up in your mind, I know that God loves me. Once you make it up in your mind, the enemy is going to try to get you to change your mind. But you need to already settle the matter that I know that God loves me in spite of me. Because he loves me. I can love my brother. I can love my sister. Come on now. All of us have not been lovable all our lives. Come on, talk to me now. Some of us have got to face the facts of, all of us, we got a past. And all of it ain't pretty. Come on, talk to me now. But that didn't disqualify us from God's love. I said that didn't disqualify us from God. It disqualified you from people now. They said, we can't have nothing else to do with you. But God said, listen, you the one I'm looking for. And I love you enough that I sent Jesus. And Jesus loved you enough that he died on Calvary. But then he loved you enough to get up. Now, but what gets me about this love situation with Jesus is this. If he got up, that means he intends for me to get up. Hello, somebody. So he intends for me not to stay in the shape I'm in right now. Yeah, Tina, I wish you was here today. I tell you, love's got everything to do with it. Because he first loved you and he loved me. Hallelujah. If everybody would stand with me. And this is what I want you to do. Tiger, play me something real sweet. Come on. All of you, if you can't stand, please stand in your heart. We know we have some physical that can't. Just stand in your heart. Lay your hands on your own self. Lay your hands on your own self. And what we're going to do is pray a prayer today. I know it's Christmas Eve. And everybody's thinking about, presents under the tree. But listen, you standing, that's a present. You breathing, that's a present. And I know we say if you don't get enough for Christmas, listen, let that mentality go. Because every day that God allows your eyes to open, go ahead and say, thank you, Jesus, for Christmas. Thank you, Jesus, for Christmas. Adam asked me at the school coach, they said, well, Hamright, how you going to celebrate Christmas? I said, the same way I celebrated in November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, and July. August and September. They looked at me, the teachers looked at me and said, what you talking about? I said, hands on yourself and say, Lord, thank you for the gift you gave to me. Lord, I'm so undeserving, but thank you for the gift you gave to me. Come on, lift your hands right now. Father, in the name of Jesus, we bless you. Good. Hallelujah. Yeah, it was love. 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 I'm only standing today because of love. And we bless you today. We love you in the blessed name of Jesus. Now, before you sit down, this is what I want you to do. Keep it going, Tyler. Well, our time is good. I want you to go to at least 3 or 4 people. And remember, one of my points was because he got up, we get up. Well, guess what the second point on that is? Because he loved, we love. So I want you to go to 3 or 4 people. Listen, don't go to your regular folks. Y'all know how we do. We all becoming one big family. Let's do some family reunion today. Hello, somebody. So go to about 3 or 4 people. Hug them. Tell them you love them. You better not be lying.